So welcome everyone to the Path of Awakening course. And we are working our way through Troleg Kyabgon Rinpoche's book, Mind at Ease, Self-Liberation Through Mahamudra Meditation. And tonight we're going to be talking about the first part of chapter 5, the 4 preliminaries. So Michael? Let's see.
I'm going to be spotlighted.
Yeah, how do we do that? There we go.
Yes. Okay. So, yes, tonight we're talking about the 4 preliminaries. And Troleg begins this chapter by talking about what the preliminaries are and why they're important. And I think the logic's fairly easy to follow, actually. He brings out that the 4 preliminaries belong to the common preliminary practices of Tibetan Buddhism. And sometimes in a lot of texts, that's exactly what they're called, the common preliminaries, which doesn't mean that they're trivial or ordinary, but that they're common to any level of practice, Hinayana, Mahayana, or Vajrayana. And in that sense are contrasted with the uncommon preliminaries, which are specific to the Vajrayana and include the Nundro practices, prostrations, mantra, mandala, and guru yoga. So in this case, we're talking about preparatory or preliminary practices that are common to any level of practice or helpful to any level of practice. And as he says, the main objective to contemplating and working with the preliminaries is to remind ourselves constantly why we are practicing. And for that reason, they could be done or are done at the beginning of every meditation session as a supplement to the main practice, because, as he says, they reinforce our motivation and prevent us from lapsing into laziness and complacency. And the reason this is important, as he says, is it's easy to yield to our habitual tendencies and allow our motivation to lapse and fail to practice or fail to appreciate the importance and power of practice. And for that reason, he says it would be a mistake to think that these are not essential to practice, that rather he says it is essential to found or base our meditation practice on these preliminary contemplations, because without them, our practice will be unstable and without foundation. So the preliminary practices are helpful in developing a motivation and, more importantly, helping us develop a regular practice, a fairly consistent practice. Otherwise, as he says, we'll practice when we feel like it and won't practice when we don't. Or we'll practice when something happens in our lives that inspires us to practice, perhaps something negative or painful or difficult. But then when things get better, we'll lapse in our practice. So